So what about if somebody came in and they're like, man, I really want to catch a big bass?
Big bass, like I said, shaky head will catch them from 2 inches to 6 pounds. It's just a versatile bait, especially in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's a little different. They don't really bite worms in the wintertime, but those kind of people just getting into it, they don't really fish in the cold.
Right.
People like to stay home.
I'm Jake Casper, and you're listening to the Ultimate Trophy Podcast, where we talk hunting, fishing, and life. Real stories, real outdoors. So saddle up and come along for the ride. This podcast is brought to you by Ole Hickory Tackle Co. If you're in the Middle Tennessee area, or whether you're at home, you can go online and go to their website and order all your fishing needs from there and get it shipped right to your door. Or if you're local, stop on in, say hi, and grab you some stuff to go out on the lake and catch what you need, because they got it all. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, it's no problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we been trying to get this going for a little while, but I definitely am excited to talk to you today, just because we were just talking a little bit ago about just the difference in fishing when you go from, one city or state or terrain to another. And I know you guys see a lot of that fishing tournaments and stuff like that. And, for everybody at home, if you want to introduce yourself, kind of who you are.
My name is Austin Maynard. Lived in Lebanon all my life. Grew up fishing here and there, then kind of played sports throughout school and stuff like that, and then got back into fishing.
Did you fish in school?
I didn't. They didn't have it when I was in school.
Yeah, because I know you guys. So you guys own a tackle shop in town, and then you guys sponsor a lot of the kids in the community.
We sponsor 2 of them, and then we offer a discount to some of the high school teams.
Oh, nice. So you plug in with that. What made y'all? Because I know I met you a while back, and you had the tackle shop, and then you moved locations. And what made y'all want to start a tackle shop?
I like fishing, and I knew that being a pro wasn't an option, but having a family and stuff like that, and then so just trying to get into the space, or something we needed around here.
Yeah. And what's the name of the tackle shop?
It's Ole Hickory Tackle Co.
Ole Hickory Tackle Co. O-L-E.
O-L-E, yeah.
Not
everybody gets confused.
It's spelled the right way, though.
Yeah.
Ole Hickory. That's Southern.
Yeah.
That's, we love coming in there. And then y'all are going to start an online website where people can go and buy stuff.
We're supposed to be launching it either today or tomorrow. I don't have the web domain on me right now.
Yeah, we'll plug it
on.
Once we get going, but we'll put all that on there. So if anybody that's listening wants to hop on there and support and buy some stuff, I know you guys got literally everything in there, from rod and reel combos to.
We're trying.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's so many things that one can only think of. So trying to carry everything or trying to decide between this and that, that's the hardest decisions.
Yeah. Well, it seems like when I go in there, being a below average fisherman, I'm always like, if it's you or your wife in there, I'm like, hey, what's biting? And I'm sure that's the question that everybody asks in there is like, hey, what's biting? What cutler? What? And so that kind of brings me to my first question for you on what I really want to talk about today is just like, I think a lot of people can go out anybody can go out walleye fishing and catch a walleye. You know what I mean? You just throw a jig on, you jig on the bottom, and, hopefully you get on the fish or, you find them. Anybody can catfish. Anybody can, do anything. But I feel like bass fishing is just such a different creature because they kind of move a lot. They can be in different elevations in the water, different depths. With I think about like people say that like musky fishing is like one of the toughest fishing, but I'm like, it's more luck, musky fishing. Yeah. You fish the same way, if you get lucky and you get on a fish, like, it's a fish of 1,000 casts. But I feel like with bass fishing, it's so methodical and like you kind of have to be on your toes and like thinking like, okay, like if this doesn't work, what am I going to try next? But with the color thing, you know, I've always heard somebody say like match the hatch.
Yeah.
And so is that something that you think is like a for sure go-to thing? Like, okay, like I'm going to try to figure out what's in the area, like kind of walk through that.
I mean, certain times of the year, it definitely helps to match the hatch. Sometimes it just depends on water quality, color, you know, stuff like that. A lot of the biggest stuff is timing and decision making.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can go to a certain area. If you go to a certain area in the morning, maybe you should have went there that afternoon. Or, you know, say you go over here to fish this spot and you go to another spot and someone's already there.
Right.
So it's a lot of factors that go into it that people think they know. Some people say, sorry, I'm trying to get it out here.
No, you're good.
It's just people act like they know. I don't think anybody has a good understanding. It's just
Right.
all decision making. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I guess there's you know, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of like, you know, what should work, right? Like you're like, okay, like this time of year they're hitting top water, or, you know, this time of year they're going to be, you know, like 8 feet down. And I guess there's, you know, there's probably a barometer of like, okay, this is when this should happen.
Yeah.
But what do you guys do, like, you know, as like higher level fishermen to dictate like, okay, you know, they're probably going to be at top water? Like you just look at like the months and time of the year.
Kinda. And then a lot of people try to force feed them. So like throwing top water. If you go out in the middle of summer and you think they're going to be eating a frog and you try to throw a frog all day and they're not biting it, instead of sticking with that in your hand, you need to be open and versatile to changing and seeing what the fish actually want.
Yeah. So what do you think is like a good, you know, I'm sure it all goes by feel, but is there like a rhythm that you guys have? Like, okay, we've tried this for X amount of time or X amount of casts. Like, let's try something new based off. And I'm sure it depends on if you're like fishing a tournament or if you're fishing just for pleasure. But what does that look like for you to be like, okay, now it's time to try something different?
If we've been, really, it depends on kind of what we've been doing. Like, say we go out in the morning and we start out deep and nothing's happening out there. Then we'll try to go up and maybe try to find some grass, find some docks. And then if that ain't working, then we'll go try out in the river and the bluffs and stuff like that. And if that doesn't work, then we'll start changing colors. We'll change to, you know, if we're throwing dark colors, we'll throw bright colors. We'll go bigger, go smaller,
So
just to see what's gonna get them active. If they want it slow on the bottom, or if they're up active and chasing.
So would you say like, so let's say we went out, we're fishing, and we're just, you know, we'll say whatever, we're starting off top water. So the first thing you're going to change is your depth more than kind of like what you're throwing as far as like color.
If we're throwing top water, if I'm, you know, say I'm throwing a buzz bait and nothing's happening on the buzz bait, then I might change to the frog or like a pawpaw or something a little slower that they can actually see.
Yeah.
But now if I'm throwing the frog or pawpaw and they're kind of missing it, stuff, then I'll go to the buzz bait and see if I can get them
More fired up. Yeah. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like for me as a, you know, because I feel like even if you grow up and you have like a dad that fishes or something like that, it's still not to the level of like, like what y'all fish,
Yeah.
you know, like it's just, you know, not everybody has that knowledge. And I think that's why I think this podcast will be really cool, is just because people, you know, you can YouTube so much, and, you know, like a lot of times, like I'll get on YouTube and I'll be like, well, how do you use, you know, the torrent, you know, whatever. And it's like, it's a review on the product rather than like how you use it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is people still don't want to let their secrets out. And watching these videos, and they'll show you this bait, you know, they'll catch 30. They'll be like, this bait catches 30 a day, but nobody shows you how they're fishing it, where they're fishing it. So
Yeah.
you may, you know, they may be fishing it on riprap banks and then or steep bluffs, but they don't tell you that. So then you go out here and you're fishing a 3-foot flat,
Yeah.
and nothing's happening. So there's a lot of discouraging stuff on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's where people like, and that's why I think bass fishing is so like just like another creature, because I feel like a lot of it is getting out there and getting the experience, right? Like trying stuff out. But there's almost like that catch-22 of like, well, you can try a lot of stuff out, but you still may not learn anything because nothing will work, if you're not doing it the right way or fishing it the right way.
Well, you may have a bait that, or we could both be throwing a frog, but you throw it a certain way and I throw it a certain way when you have success, and vice versa, and it doesn't work for you. What works for me doesn't work for you, and what works for you doesn't work for me.
Right.
So it's a lot of what is it? Like self-experiences.
Yeah.
And it's all what you have confidence in.
Right. Yeah, because I feel like probably the biggest, I don't want to say mistake, but like the biggest thing that I don't do is I'll just throw on, some type of, either like a top water, like a buzzbait or a frog. And those are my like only 2 top waters. And then like 2 colors, white or black. Yeah. And then, like a generic like crankbait that, I might not even know how deep it goes, I'm like, I know this is going to go below the water. And then, you have like, and I would say there's probably a lot of people that are just like this, and then you have, like I was throwing that torrent old money. And like one of the things I realized is like, I'm throwing it just like a normal bait. Like I'm throwing it, I'm just reeling it, throwing it and reeling it, which you can do. Mm-hmm. But then it's also like, oh, well, I can let this float or sink down to the bottom and I can bounce it off the bottom and use it that way too, like on those shallow edges. And it's like, I had to like look up how to do that because like I just didn't know that like you could do that, So I just feel like there's so many different ways that, one, you can use like the same baits, and then 2, there's that like, like you said, like people don't always want to share their secrets. So I feel like that's what's really cool about like the high school, fishing teams and stuff like that is like, one, it's helping get people out there and fishing, because that's one of the things that I like want this podcast to be about is, one, help people get into the outdoors. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's always going to be that thing about like, well, you're not going to always like share your spots and like drop pins and stuff like that. That's always going to be a thing. I'm not going to tell everybody where I go hunting in Missouri or whatever like that. But, there's like that line of like, okay, well, you still want people to like get into the sport because, one, it's good for everybody. Like for you, if nobody new got into fishing, you're probably not going to sell as much stuff, So there's like that whole aspect there. But I think it's really a much needed thing to help people get into the sport and offer that. So that's kind of one of the things that like I would love to see more of, I guess, in the fishing world. And I know you guys do that on your like Instagram page and TikTok and stuff like that. Your pro staff will be like, hey, this is what we like throwing this month. This is what's hitting. This is how I rig it up. This is how we're throwing it. And I don't think there's a whole lot of that, honestly, like out there. And, because you'll watch like, the only fishing shows I can think of is like Bill Dance, and it's like, it's funny. You watch him catch big fish, but it's not like.
It's not informative.
It's not super informative. So it's like, he's like, hey, throw this thing. Watch me catch a fish, and you catch a fish on it,
And you go out with the same bait and nothing happens and you get discouraged.
Yeah, and it's like, because you don't realize like, oh, well, he's reeling a certain speed, or he's letting it drop for 5 seconds before he even starts reeling it in, or he's, like those are all those things that, even when we go, like I do, go on a deep sea fishing trip every year, and it's like one of the things they always do out there is they're like, all right, drop it all the way to the bottom. Now reel it up 5 clicks. Oh, you didn't catch anything? All right, reel it up 5 more clicks. And it's like you were talking about, you find the depth that these fish are at. And, but I wouldn't know to do that. I'm dropping the sucker down and guess, you know. But I guess like if somebody new came into your store had no knowledge of fishing, and were like, hey, I really want to get into bass fishing. I have no experience of it, which I think probably, were y'all open during COVID?
We were not.
But I feel like during COVID, everybody started buying campers. Everybody started buying RVs. People want to learn how to hunt because everybody got freaked out about what was going to happen, So, like, if somebody came into your shop, was like, hey, I really want to get into this, what would be your steps in, one, like, providing them what they need as far as to start off, and then, kind of like what advice would you give?
The number one thing would be like what they want to fish for.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want to go out and have some fun and catch some bluegill, shell cracker, just set you up with an easy, medium light rod and just some simple stuff.
Right.
Because that's not hard, get you some worms, hit the bank.
Yeah.
But now, if you want to go out and bass fishing, and somebody just getting into it, honestly, I'm just going to tell them put a shaky head on.
Yeah.
That'd be, they'll catch fish from Maine to Spokane, it's.
Yeah. So for those of that don't know, what's a shaky head?
It's just a hook with a lead ball head on it. And you just put like a straight tail worm on and throw it out and let it just drag the bottom.
Yep. And you troll with it and drag the bottom?
You just cast out, let it sink, and then just pull it with your rod and let it drag the bottom and try to fill every rock, stick, mud clump you can down there.
So that's a big thing is, so when you say feel, kind of go into that a little bit.
You just, you'll feel it. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like if dragging your foot on, through rocks, or you're walking on concrete and your foot drags or something, like that's kind of how it feels in the rod.
Yeah. So you can feel that through there and tell like, okay, like this is where like contour is and stuff like that.
And then you can feel it. If you don't feel nothing, it's either falling or you've gotten into some mud.
What's if you're gonna give them like some sort of wax, bait? What if somebody comes in there? What are you handing them?
I'm just handing them some night crawlers.
Just
if they're wanting to catch some bluegill, just cut up some night crawlers, put a little bit on number 6 Aberdeen hook, and you'll catch all you want in a day.
So what about if somebody came in and they're like, man, I really want to catch a big bass?
Big bass, like I said, shaky head will catch them from 2 inches to 6 pounds. It's just a versatile bait, especially in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's a little different. They don't really bite worms in the wintertime, but those kind of people just getting into it, they don't really fish in the cold.
Right.
People like to stay home.
I know I do.
Most people get in the deer woods that time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's, bass fishing is just another animal, man, because it's like, like that sucker, we went up to we called that a Dale Hollow. We were just troll fishing, and it's like, oh, there's one, reel it in, and it's like, but it's also like, that can be fun fishing too, like all the different things, it's not all about going out and having to catch, like, a lot of people see the people catching like 10 pounders and 15 pounders and 6 pounders and they'll see these on YouTube videos or, not necessarily on TV. I feel like that TV shows are a little more realistic, but you watch these like YouTube videos and people catching these giants, and it's like, it's not really that realistic. Can it happen? Absolutely. But
it's harder. It's hard around here.
Yeah.
But
I think, what do you think would be if you were to say like in the deer world, everybody wants to go to like Kansas and Iowa and those places. Like, what's the fishing mecca?
Honestly, it's Texas.
Texas?
Yeah. Florida's good, but Florida, you'll catch a lot of 12 inchers.
Mm-hmm.
But in Texas, they just get huge, and they got the share lunker program down there, where they you catch a bass over, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's 10 or 12 pounds, but then they'll take it, or the share lunker program will come and get it from you, and they take it to a facility and they spawn it in captivity.
Oh,
and then
okay.
release the bass. So then that way they grow those genetics.
Right.
And then they release those throughout the lakes all throughout Texas.
Wow.
So
I
they're
didn't know
spreading
that.
those genetics all throughout.
That is pretty cool. I wish they'd do something like that here.
Yeah.
I know they say they put trout at, at the creek up here.
Yeah,
I've never
over at
caught
Don-
one in there. I fished it a couple
I don't know
times.
how often they stock it. I've seen it. I don't know if it's a every year stocking, like up at the Caney,
Yeah.
but I've seen that I've seen it on the stocking program, but I've never caught one out of there either.
Yeah, I've seen it on the schedule, and I went down there. I've tried fly fishing, dude. I've tried spinning rods. I've tried, throwing some MEPs, in there. And I'm like, and I went like the day it was scheduled, like the day after. I'm like, surely if they're in here, I'm okay. And I'm like, man, I don't think they're putting anything in here. It's got to be they're just trying to show that they allocated money to something.
Yeah.
But y'all get out and do much like trout fishing or anything like that?
Honestly, I mainly bass fish, and then when it gets hot like this, we'll switch to just catching some bluegill,
Yeah.
just to beat the heat and have some fun.
Yeah. Y'all eat a lot of fish? You eat
I
'em?
don't. My wife doesn't eat it, so then it's kind of just me.
Yeah. Yeah, we eat a lot of fish. We do a lot of salmon. But we used to go. I'm actually my old wrestling coach. Him and his son started a guiding service up in Michigan, in Lexington, Michigan. And they steelhead, go after trout and, salmon and all that kind of stuff. And they catch some monsters up there. I mean, they sent me a picture one time. I can't remember. It had to have been like 40 pounder or something. Just a stud. But it's that's what's fascinating to me is there's so many kinds of fishing. Like there's so many kinds of different ways that you can go out and you can provide for your family or have fun or trophy fish or do whatever. But I think that's the other thing is like, talk about outfitters and guides and stuff like that. I feel like that's another way that people, if you want to learn, go out with somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I know it's not always easy to find somebody, but is that something that do you guys partner with like any guide services or anything like
we
that?
We do. What is it? His name's Ryan Hakel.
Mm-hmm.
He guides a lot on Priest, and then he also does trips on Old Hickory and Center Hill.
Okay.
And I think he does do some on Del Hollow too.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's a good way for people to get out, get the knowledge, get a feel for, kind of what you need, what you're looking for. And
I went out with him right at the beginning of the summer. I can't remember exact month, but went on Priest with him, and I ended up catching a 611.
Oh, wow. I need to get out with you guys, dude, and go do some fishing. Actually,
It's fun.
Dude, I think I've probably caught, obviously I caught that thing, but like on my own fishing, I've probably caught 3 bass since I've been here. Because, it's just been like we were talking about earlier, it's just been a time, it's hard. We don't got a boat. My buddy has a boat, but I got a couple of buddies that have boats, but it's just like, I feel like it's a big thing if you're in certain states, terrain, a boat is just a must, and I know you were saying earlier, like in our area specifically, like that's kind of like a must thing. What do you think makes that difference to where like, cause I feel like you could go to the same spot, where like, cause they have all these places where, they're fishing holes, but people fish and stuff like that. I feel like you could cast from the bank and not catch nothing. But if you drove up in there with a boat in that same scenario, casting out, you'd catch something. And why do you think that is?
I think it's a lot to do with, one, the pressure, just because there's a lot of people that it is a good pastime around here. So you got a lot of people during the summertime bank fishing. And then also, I think it's the rising and falling of the water levels around here, just especially on Old Hickory. It's a power, they supply power with it, and all the houses and developments that they've done made that they don't let it get too high. So you got water coming in from Cordell Hull coming through, pulling through. So they got to keep it at a certain level, especially after the flood we had in 2010. They don't play around with it no more.
Yeah.
And then lakes like Center Hill and Dale Hollow, they don't dump them as often.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of gets like bath water. So it's super hot, and they don't want to be up in that.
Yeah. The thing about Dale Hollow is I think it's one of the cleanest lakes around, though. As far as like water clarity and stuff like that, it just seems like it's always so clean.
Yeah.
Which I think that can hurt and help, depending on time of year fishing and stuff like that. What do you think about, do you think it makes a difference that, I don't know if not a lot of people know this, but, because all those lakes are man-made.
Mm-hmm.
The only lake in Tennessee that's not man-made is
Reelfoot.
Reelfoot, which it's a crappie fishing, and I don't know. Do people bass fish it too? Is that like a thing out there?
I think the biggest thing is the bluegill.
Bluegill. Yeah, I know it's a lot of pan fishing, like they'll crappie fish it and bluegill fish it, and then obviously the duck hunting is, insane over there too.
I don't see a lot of the bass fishing stuff come from there.
Which is
I'm
weird.
sure they do.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure people definitely. I know they have guide boats and stuff out there, but I think a lot of it's like crappie fishing. But I wonder if them being man-made lakes, like Percy and stuff like that, if that has an impact on kind of how the fish sit. Because I know.
Well, the biggest thing is, like I said, they pull the water, so they get real current related.
Yeah.
So they get staged out and with the shad moving and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's what's the other thing they love to catch out there is them stripers.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Y'all get into them too?
The hybrids on Priest. I don't, but I know it's a huge thing over there.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody wants to hook into like a 60-pound
it's
striper.
Fun. When you do get one, it's fun. But
yeah, I know they catch them a lot at the out there. What's the one out there at Carthage? The dam down there.
Cordell Hull.
Cordell Hull, yeah, at the bottom of there.
Yeah.
They'll throw them big, sexy dog, like 9-inch.
Yeah, that or a curly tail grub and
they'll catch some monsters down there. And that's that's some fun fishing too, because they hit. They're just a hard hitting fish and fight hard. And but one thing you said earlier that made me think about this. You were talking about like fishing pressure. What do you think about, like, do you guys look at like the barometric pressure at all? Like I know for deer hunting we look at that a lot.
It just really depends.
Because I know because we like one place I go fishing a lot. We go to Arkansas. We'll go on the Buffalo River, and we'll catch a bunch of smallmouth. And they got all sorts of stuff in the Buffalo River, but pretty good smallmouth fishing. But one of the things that we find a lot is me and my brother-in-law. We were fishing down there one time, and we went fishing, and we look off in the distance up over this mountain, and it's just like black clouds. And we were doing all right, but up until like probably 20 minutes right before that cloud got to us, we just started hammering them. I mean, we're just yanking fish. We're throwing them on the stringer, and we're just like, as soon as it hits the water, we're just catching fish. And it ended up downpouring, and we had like a mile drive back on a 4-wheeler to get up out of there. And we ended up getting caught. We had to park up under these. There's a lot of cabins out there that people they'll stay in for during the summer, or they'll come for long periods of time, but they don't live out there. And so we pulled up underneath this one porch of this cabin, and we're just hunkered down because my wife's grandparents know everybody up in this part of the country. And so we're waiting there, and finally this storm, it was a real small storm, and it passes over. And I think we ended up catching, a limit for me and a limit for him, a smallmouth. And it ended up being a tornado. And so we got back, and like the tornado alarms are going off, and like we didn't even know it, but we hunkered down. But ended up getting back, and then our wives were telling us, and they were like, "What were y'all doing? You know, the storm, and y'all should have came back," and blah blah blah. But what's funny is we were just on the fish for like that, 20 to 30 minute span, but you could feel, all of a sudden the temperature drop, probably 20 degrees. There's just that cool just temperature came through.
Yeah, them bad weather days are good for smallmouth. I don't know what it is about it.
So you think it's just for smallmouth, or do you think that affects?
Just definitely for smallmouth, but I mean it does affect all of them because I mean one of the best days I had fishing on Center Hill was it was early April, and I mean it was during a blizzard. Snow was spitting all day. I mean the whole front of the boat was white. And, I mean we caught probably 50 bass.
Wow.
Just 3-4 pounders, throwing them back.
Yeah. So you think it's best, like, so do you guys look for that? Like when you're going to go out, do you look for like, okay, like there's going to be a temperature change, or there's going to be today's nice, but tomorrow there's supposed to be a storm coming in. So that shift.
It does, but it kind of takes a while to affect the fish sometimes because they're in an insulated environment, just like up north when it gets iced over. Yeah, they have that layer of ice to insulate the water. Right. Where like us, we don't have that, so it may be like, especially in the spring, it may be going from 32 degrees one day to 60 the next down here. Well, just because it went from 60 doesn't mean that we're going to go out there and be killing the fish. Right. Yeah, it's got to warm that water up for 3-4 days, and then it'll be good. Right. But a lot of the bigger thing is that we pay attention to is the moon phases, because that dictates a lot of stuff as far as like them coming up to spawn and what moon phase time of year what comes up to spawn. Let's talk about that a little bit because this is new. This is new to me. So like they'll make a big push on that first full moon of a certain month. You'll start with your bluegill. And then smallmouth will spawn before the largemouth. Then the largemouth will spawn.
How many times a year do fish spawn? Just once?
Up here, just once. Down in Florida, you may get 2, just where it stays warmer.
And when is that typically, like, time of year?
In your springtime. And then I think they'll spawn again in the fall. Okay. Down in Florida. Yeah. But like up here, I mean, when it starts to cool back down, you'll start catching a lot of smaller bass, and that's what we call the buck bass, just the little small males, because they'll be moving back up again because in their mind they're like, it's time to spawn. But the females don't have any eggs, so they don't come.
And that's one thing I've seen too is like, talk about spawning is, because when they're spawning, that's when they're on their beds, right? They stay bedded a lot. And, I know like you watch those people that have those big, I don't even know, it's like a big.
The floggers.
And it's like a magnifying glass thing that they put their head down in the water. Yeah. And they're like finding these fish. Is that something like y'all do? Is that like a common thing or like?
Not around here, just because our water, the clear water we have is 100 foot deep. Right. So it's a bigger up north where it's all flat up there. So you may be in 6 to 8 feet. So you can see. And it just cuts that glare off the top of the water.
So when they're doing that, like obviously they're looking for a bedded fish, but like, because really it's like a reaction bite, right? That you're getting at that point, like they're like
because they don't want it in there.
So then you're, with that, are you kind of like slapping it up against the fish, or like what's?
Sometimes they hit them. Yeah, but I've never done it. But it really, you just got to find the spot they want in that. Yeah, and you're just that's right in there. Like if this table's their bed, you know, you can have it over here and they're not going to touch it, but you get it over on this side and they don't want it over there, so they attack it every time. And it might be where they bite it, they just kind of push it off a couple of times and then finally they'll bite it. Yeah. So it all just depends on what kind of mood the fish is in.
Yeah, because I've seen some of that, in like those like tournaments, like people will have, what'd you call it, a flogger? Yeah. And I was like, man, I think that guy's got it figured out. He's like laying over the boat with his head like down in there and He's like controlling the
It's
trolling
wild
motor.
looking, yeah.
And that was the first time I had seen it. I was like, man, that guy's like getting down in there. And then I realized what he was doing. You know, I thought he was just trying to I thought he was hung up or something. And then, you know, he's like, oh, here's, you know, a 4-pounder. And then they start, you know, trying to drag it in front of him and getting like a, you know, reaction bite out of it. And they were catching him like every time. Every time they found a fish, it was like they were catching it just because they were so, like, those fish were so territorial. So do you think that's like one of the better times to fish, like when they're spawning?
It is, but I personally like the pre-spawn better. I think they're more active around here. Like up north, the spawn's the best time to fish just because it's loaded with smallmouths up there. And, I mean, they're all aggressive, and it don't take much to get them to bite.
So how does that work in like a bass tournament? Because, you know, obviously there's, you know, you got smallmouth, you got spotted bass, you got largemouth, you got, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of rock bass and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in a tournament, are all of those like counted towards, or is it like, okay, it has to be specifically
Mainly it's just largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass.
Okay. And so then they just gave you, so let's walk through. So like for people that don't know anything about tournament fishing, you know, let's walk through like, so how many fish you get, like kind of start to finish of like what a tournament day would look like.
I mean, it just depends really. I mean, you know, everybody gets a 5-fish limit.
And that's pretty standard per tournament, 5 fish.
Yeah, besides, you know, the MLF, they do their own thing. At the higher level, they do every fish counts. But that's not really realistic. It's hard to police that. So if they try doing that in a tournament, besides the kayak tournaments, the kayak tournaments do by measurement, by length.
Oh, really? So it's whoever gets the most length out of 5?
Yeah, they'll take their best 5, I believe, on most of them, because that's starting to become a bigger thing is the kayak fishing. It's more accessible to people.
Shoot, man. Yeah, it's more accessible, but I've seen some of them suckers like $1,500, $2,000 with like, it's got more electronics than a bass boat on it.
Some of them, they get real into it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever kayak fished?
Yeah, I fished from a kayak.
It's frustrating sometimes because like me having a boat, I've done it. And it's like I want to go out there, but I'll get beat to death out there.
Oh yeah. And then or like you paddle in somewhere, you know, depending on the current. You know, one of the things that we got into one time is, you know, paddled in, get my paddle set down, then I get my rod up. By the time I got my rod up, I'm like 15 feet down from where I wanted to be at because I floated down.
Yeah.
And you know, that can be frustrating with it too. And it's just like I don't have a large kayak. We have like a, you know, I don't know. I don't even remember. We probably got like Academy or something, but you know, it does have rod holders on it, so you can like troll with it and stuff. But I feel like you need a lot of space, you know, like unless you have, because typically you're gonna have like one box with like, you know, a handful of lures.
They've come up with some creative stuff to be able to put, you know, fit everything in these kayaks. And then they're also redesigning a bunch of the kayaks. They got one now, I think Hobie makes it. I mean, it's got a whole front deck on it that you can stand on.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of them have like the dual hole now too. Like they're making it to where it's got the double hole on it where it, one, obviously that makes it more stable, but two, I feel like it just makes it, because once it tapers, you know, like you have only so much surface, but like on those wider ones, like if you have the same width that you do as the hole, it's like, you're going to, one, be able to balance better and not feel like you're flipping over, which I think it'd make you fish better, but then also, you know, you just got more surface area to like put stuff, you know, because the way they look, it's almost like it looks like a pontoon boat, you know, some of them. And, you know, so you could shove stuff all the way up underneath there and, you know, keep more things in there. But some of those ones that they have now, the other thing I see is the one, you know, they're kayaks, but they have the pedals on it. Yeah. And so you just have the rudder in the back and then you're just like pedaling around.
Yeah. And they're coming out with a lot more motors too. Like they just come out with one that's got a jet drive on it.
Really? For a kayak?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? Is it like a
It's
gas
just like
motor?
I think it's electric.
Electric.
And it's just a little jet drive motor in it. That's pretty cool. And then Garmin and Minn Kota's making kayak trolling motors. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely like,
For the people that want to go that route.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're like, if you're somebody that wants to get into like high level bass fishing on a, budget without buying a $10, $15, $90,000 bass boat, some of these kayaks you spend. I'm sure I don't even know what a high end one would be. I'm sure you could get up towards like $5,000 and stuff like that on some of these. Like,
it wouldn't be hard to do.
No, I've seen some of them. They had this one guy. He had more electron. I don't even know how he fished because it was like so much stuff stacked up. It looked like a command center, and but he had all the gizmos and gadgets on it, and I don't even want to know what that sucker cost, but either way, it's still, compared to if you bought a full boat and the amount of gas that you spend on, if you drive around all day on a boat and
then being able to store it's a lot easier.
It's definitely, that's the thing too, is like these new kayaks, they have like their own trailers and it's like they drop them like a boat.
Yeah. I definitely get the appeal. It's not for me.
Yeah, no.
It's fun every now and then, but not full time. I like having my boat where I can spread out.
Well, in a boat, I'm a practical guy. Like if I'm going to get something, I want it to be like practical, like I want to be able to, haul a deer on the boat if I want to and do, all that kind of stuff. But, it's definitely if somebody wants to get into like a, especially if you're like like there's a lot of these like nomadic people too that like buy those Astro vans and they'll just go off and like go fishing up to Wyoming for however long. It's like if that's your thing and you don't got a family and you can float that, more power to you. But that's those are cool though. Those are super cool. Y'all gonna start selling those at the tackle shop there?
It's in the plans. Everything's in the plans. We got big dreams, but we're small time right now, so we're working up to it.
Yeah. Now y'all are growing though. That's super cool, man. Just like because we obviously we follow each other on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and all that good stuff. But it's just I think it's good too because y'all got a lot of times if I see new people that come in town, I'm like, man, you got to go over and check out Ole Hickory Tackle Company, and we've had some people that come over your way, and it's just what I like about it is you can go. Yeah, can you go to Bass Pro? You can do that. You can go to Academy. You can go, but there's just something about if you go into, and that's why I always push people if they want to go somewhere, whether it's to buy hunting stuff, to buy fishing stuff, to buy whatever, like go somewhere local.
Yeah.
One, because if you go to Academy, for example, the guy in the aisle that manages it may or may not know what he's talking about. You go somewhere local, like y'all, and it's like you go in there, y'all are actually getting out and fishing. You know what's actually biting. You know what works and doesn't work and what should work. And, that's one of the things that I think people should do more is like, hey, go to your local people and just get to know them, get to know like some of the fishers in there. And that's one thing, whether it's, we see this a lot when we go down deep sea fishing is all the fishermen that run the charters and everything, everybody knows everybody, and it's like, if you get into like that community, like you're going to learn, you're going to get better at fishing. You're going to get opportunities to go out and, make friends, and maybe they take you on their boat and show you something or, but that's super cool, man. I'm excited for y'all's website to launch, and I'm sure I'll be buying some stuff. And
it's it's been a lot of positive, feedback so far. So
and y'all got some cool merch.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah. You need to, once you get that up and running, we'll pop it on here, and we'll get some people over there, try to I know I'm gonna buy some stuff. Leland's gonna go buy some stuff, and it's cool, man. We definitely need to get out and fish, though. We need to set something up, get out and hang out, do some fishing.
For sure.
You know, maybe I'll get you in the deer woods. Get you on some.
I hunt a little bit.
Yeah, I know you were. When I met you over there at the first place, you were like, yeah, you know, because you had the dual side, and you're like, yeah, the hunting's more my buddy's thing, but yeah, I love it. But no, I definitely want to get out and show me the ropes, man. Teach me how to catch.
I'll try.
He's
I'm not a
Tennessee bass,
professional,
man.
They have me feeling like I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. So,
well, shoot, those boys, those young cats you got,
they got it going on.
Yeah, they got it figured out. I see them on there all the time. But sweet, man. Was there anything you want to touch base on, talk about that you thought of?
Yeah, I think we about covered everything. I mean, just, you know, hopefully we can grow this, and y'all can help y'all, and y'all help us. So
yeah, for sure,
it'd be good.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think the outdoor space is just going to continue to grow, just because I think a lot of people are realizing, you know, like you're not going to get the same aspect watching a TV show as you would if you went out and actually did it, or you're not going to get, you know, the same feel. You know, I think today's generation is we're kind of going back to those days of being in the outdoors, and like people want to get out in fresh air and camp, and that's why I think we see a lot of people.
Which I think COVID had a big, like you said, COVID had a big push towards that.
Yeah.
Which some people have faded out since then.
Yeah.
But there's still a big youth movement, and you know, and deer hunting, duck hunting, fishing. So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that, and I think a lot of people just want to learn it just because they can have that skill, you know, like if something was to, you know, go wild, like they have this in their back pocket, like they can go and make a hook out of a pop can, and, you know, catch a fish or whatever, you know. That's why there's all these new TV shows coming out, Alone, and well, Alone's been out for a while, but they have all these like survival channels, and they just skyrocket in views because people are just, they want to know more about it. So no, I think it's definitely going to be good, man. And yeah, we'll get connected. It's been fun.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do it again. We'll get your boys on here and do another podcast and talk. They
know a lot more than I do. So
yeah, and it's just cool. I think the tournament side of it's just so fascinating.
Yeah, I like the tournaments. I'm not the biggest tournament fisherman. I'm more of just because I grew up playing competitive sports, so now I'm all about just relaxing and going out and having fun. But
yeah, no, it's definitely. I've always been a competitive guy, you know. So like
me too. So
any competition kind of just draws me to it, you know. Like I'm in a bow hunting league. You know, you get a team and you try to kill big bucks and you add your scores together and all this kind of stuff, and it's just super interesting, you know. But sweet, man. Well, yeah, we'll set some stuff up. Maybe we'll do a little YouTube video, go out and do some fishing, and make a video and do something cool. And we'll get some stuff together. That way we can start slinging your merch and see where this thing goes, man.
Yeah, we're just on the ride. We don't really know where it's going. We're just kind of riding it out and seeing where it's taking us. And going from there.
It's cool though, man. It's cool. So awesome. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on, and we'll do it again sometime.
I appreciate it.
Yep.